All right, we are live. Sorry, you guys. It's been a while since I have used this program to go live, so I'm really excited to be on here now. So let me know if you guys are having any issues hearing me or seeing me. I am testing this out for the first time in a very long time, but I'm just going to assume that you guys can hear and see me just fine. You can also add comments, and I should be able to see them as well. So we are streaming into our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. So if you don't know who I am Diana Bigham, and I am the founder of Unveiling Heirs, which is a ministry that's established to help support Christian parents in raising a healthy Christian family. And so we offer a lot of really great practical resources, and this is one of them. We're going to go live every single Friday, sharing with you some kind of practical tip that's going to help you boost not only relationship health, in your household, but also just mental and emotional. And so this month we've been talking about tantrums. And last week I didn't stream live in all the places, but we talked about how to know why your child is throwing a fit. Now, sometimes people hear the word tantrum and they're thinking about toddlers. I don't know about you, but I still throw tantrums every once in a while as an adult. Of course, it looks different than a toddler. When my kids were really little, one of my kiddos, like, she was in the car and she was really tired and cranky, and she took off her shoe and she threw it across the car. And my husband and I were like, oh my goodness, like, we didn't want her to see our faces, but we wanted to laugh because we were thinking, that's a good arm, kiddo. But the reality is, as an adult, we also have a difficult time with emotions and situations as well. We may not take off our shoe and throw it. I hope that we have better coping skills than that. But the reality is that we have struggles too. And last week on our Facebook page, we had shared and talked about the different reasons why kids throw tantrums. And it's not just about little toddlers, it's also about school age children, high schoolers. This really affects all of us, but we want to identify the reasons behind why our child is throwing a fit. Why are they having a hard time handling that situation? What is going on inside of them? What coping skills do we need to develop so that we don't have the same situation again and again? And last week we talked about how to identify the root of it so that we can address it. Because when we address the root, we get better fruit. We'll have a different reaction the next time we handle the situation. But as parents, we sometimes don't know what to say or do in those situations, like in the heat of the moment when your kid is struggling. So maybe they're not yelling or throwing a shoe. Maybe they're crying. Maybe they're having a panic attack. Maybe your child is shutting down and they're withdrawn, and that's their tantrum. It's really just an emotional it's just an emotional overwhelm kind of feeling. And so there's lots of different ways that we just have a hard time managing things that's happening on the inside of us, or what's going on around us and how we interpret it. And so maybe your child is withdrawn and not engaging with family. Maybe they don't make eye contact. Maybe they say things like, I'm not good enough, or I'm a failure, or, I'm just a big disappointment. No one cares about me. If you have a child that's struggling like this is a sign that they don't know how to handle whatever that emotion is. Sometimes we label our kids and we say, oh, well, they're just manipulating. They're just trying to get attention. That's why they're throwing this fit and having a meltdown. Well, that might be the case, and that was one of the things that we talked about last week. Is one reason that kids have meltdowns or tantrums is because they need attention. That's actually not a bad thing to want and need attention. In fact, every human being needs some level of attention. We need a sense of belonging and connection. And so I want to share with you just real quick in the comments. I'm going to post this up so that you can see it. But I want to give you a free resource. If you didn't grab it last week, it's what I call a tantrum. This is going to be a mouthful. Tantrum taming checklist. So I went into great detail about what that looks like. And so let me go ahead and drop that. I'm going to pull it up right now for you guys, because I want you to be sure that not only you have this really amazing resource, but you're also connected with me, because each week I share some specific tips. So if you're not on my email list, it might be really great to get a hold of these great resources. So this is the first one I want to share with you is if you just go to dianabigham.com/tantrum checklist, you're going to get that file, and it's going to be super great. And I feel like there's probably some way I could probably share with you um, on the screen. I think there is a way. Let me see. Okay, here we go. I'm very new to this, so let's see what's going to happen here. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So you're going to see that across the screen at the bottom. I actually think there might be a way I can do that without it scrolling. Look at me. I'm learning as I do this. So let's try it this way. Nope, that's not the right one. All right, I'm going to figure this out, you guys. Here you go. I want to make sure you have as many resources as you need. Here's what I love. As a therapist, I am a marriage and family therapist as well as a child therapist. And what I really love doing is supporting parents. Not only have I worked with so many kids over the past 14 years as being a clinician in mental and behavioral health, but I'm not one of those kinds of therapists where I wanted to work with the kids one-on-one forever and ever. Like I ultimately want to see caregivers feel confident and equipped because I would even tell my parents, look, at the end of the day, like your child's going to be with you and you need to feel comfortable how to handle these conversations. You can't just keep bringing your kid to me for every problem that comes up, because if you see me only once a week for 1 hour out of the week, what are you going to do for all the other times, And so my ultimate goal is to help equip your family and your child. And when you need to check in, that's great. I'll always be here. However, it's really important that you guys feel comfortable knowing how to handle these situations. And so I've created a whole lot of great resources to not only educate parents on how they can raise mentally and emotionally healthy children, but also relationally wise kids and spiritually mature. So we want to make sure that we have kids that are healthy. So if you like these kinds of things, grab this checklist and make sure you tune in every single Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time, right here, wherever you're tuning in, whether it's YouTube or our Facebook pages. So let me know if you guys have any questions because I'm going to monitor the comments. However, in order for me to see your comments on this process, you have to click and give permission for the software program is called StreamYard. You have to actually click and give permission. And once you do, then I will be able to see your comments and answer your questions live. All right, so let's talk some more practical things. I'm going to see if I can share with you another screen. If not, that's fine. I will totally, we'll just pivot. So here we go. Let me share with you. One more thing. I'm such a visual learner, so I try to find ways to make it visual for you guys as well. But if for some reason I can't get there, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. You are not alone. That's the biggest message I want to communicate with you is you are not alone. And especially now more than ever, we need additional help in taking care of our kids in just a crazy, crazy world. Okay, so I believe there's a way I can share this with you. I might be trying to do too many things live. Oh, I think I can share. Here we go. I don't know that I can do it right now. I may have to have had it uploaded in advance. But this is just me trying to make every effort I can just to give you more and more resources. Okay, so I'm actually going to be sharing some things that's going to be found on that tantrum taming, that's a tongue twister checklist. So on there, it's got great information, but I also share with you several different areas, 7 to be in fact, 7 areas where we want to decode why our child's throwing tantrums. So let's do a quick review, and then I'm going to go specifically on one of those. So there's parental care. I don't know about you, but sometimes I am the reason why my kid is having a hard time. Have you ever had a moment where you're just stressed and overwhelmed and maybe you like your child is being normal like kid and it's irritating you, like have you ever been so stressed and overwhelmed you're like I don't even want to play. And I'm a registered play therapist. Not only am I a registered play therapist, I'm a supervisor, so I train people in this. But here's the key, you guys. It's not about perfect parenting. It's about healthy parenting. And part of that is knowing how to make repairs. Not only are we trying to prevent problems, but we want to make repairs when things go awry. So there's one time I was pulling up into our driveway, and I shared this story in our membership group just the other day. But I'm going to tell them myself, okay, are y'all cool with that? Type in the comments like, yes. If you're okay with me telling on myself, I'm going to do it anyway, even if you say no. You could just tune into something else. Okay, so I pulled into my driveway. This was a few years ago. I just will never forget this moment though. I think it was 3 years ago because it was pre-pandemic. I pulled into the driveway, and at that time, anytime we would go anywhere, my children were really slow to get out of the car. Do you guys have like any issues with that? Can you tell I'm a little bit of a left brain, task oriented person? So, well, my kids are younger, and so they're not like toddlers at this stage, but during this time a few years ago, they were still like elementary school age and young and whatever. But I had one child in particular that would take a while to transition from one activity to the next. Do you have kids who are slow during transitions to go from one activity to the next? So we were in the car, and when I got out, I start walking up to the front door and I hit the lock button to the car. And my young is like, Mom, she's like, but sister's not out of the car yet. And I'm like, what? And so I turn around, I'm like, what are you doing? Get out of the car. I'm not laughing at that. I'm like, what are you doing? Get out of the car. Like, seriously, what's taking you so long? So it feels like she's panicking a little bit. So I unlock the car and she gets out, and she looks completely dejected like this, like, oh, and stressed. And I was like, and I get on to her, I'm like, what? I don't understand. Like, how are you still in the car? It shouldn't take you 5 minutes to get out of the car. Of course, I'm exaggerating because I'm like super irritated. And so then I had like a light bulb moment of awareness, like, what am I doing? Like shaming my child for taking a long time getting out of the car. Like, that's the stupidest thing ever, Diana. What are you doing? And so I recognized that in the moment, and I was like, oh my goodness, she's just slow to transition. She takes her time doing things. It's not 5 minutes. And once she was in the car and I locked it, she was scared to unlock it, even though she's on the inside, because she thought the alarm would go off. And just hearing that loud sound, makes her uncomfortable. So she was like panicking and didn't even get out of the car. And so when I had that moment of awareness, have you ever had that where you just like catch yourself being a total jerk face to your kids? Let me know. Put hashtag not alone in the comments. I would like encouragement. And so here I am having this aha moment, standing at the doorway of my house. And I'm like, oh, babe, I am so sorry. I should not be talking to you like that. This is not about you. This is about me. Like, I'm still like working on taking care of my feelings, and I should not have been upset with you about something so silly. I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me? And it's not okay that I talk to you like that. And she was like this, yeah, and I was like, no, 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 babe. And so then I put my hands on her shoulders and her arms, and I was like, look at me, sweetie. And she like lifted up her head and she gave me eye contact. And I was like, listen, I'm really serious. Like, it's not okay that I talk to you like that. I need to take care of my own feelings, and do a better job, because you matter to me and you are more important to me than anything else. And it's not okay that grown-ups talk to your kids like that. It was such a small, silly thing for me to be upset about it. So you really do matter. So will you forgive me? I'm super sorry, and so then she lit up and she was like, yes, I forgive you. And she gave me a big old hug and embraced me. And so here's what I want to say about that is, number one, you don't have to aim for perfect parenting. You have to aim for healthy parenting, and that includes how to make repairs in the relationship. And so this is a very specific area of why kids throw tantrums or fits or have meltdowns. Is really, it might not actually be about them. It might actually be about us. Maybe it's our expectations are super unhealthy or off target or not realistic for their age. Or the situation. It could be about us, that we have issues, that we need to have things a certain way, or we throw a fit, we have a meltdown or tantrum. So that's that first thing that we're decoding, is when our kids have tantrums or when there's an issue. You want to do a self inventory of like, okay, is this a me issue? In other words, is that my issue that I need to own and take responsibility for? And so here are some signs that you as a parent need to do what I call a heart check. And we really work on this with the families that I work with. We talk a lot about doing heart checks. And so number one, here's a sign that you might need to do a heart check, is when you take defiance personally or misbehavior personally. Maybe you're embarrassed by your child's behavior. Maybe you don't want to go in public with them because they throw fits or have meltdowns and you don't know how to handle it. That's pretty common, you guys. So you're not alone in that either. There are other parents who feel embarrassed by their kids' behaviors. Maybe you threaten to get your child's attention. You better do this, or I'm going to take away your toy, or I'm going to take away your iPad, whatever it looks like. Do you threaten to get compliance out of your kids? Do you threaten to get obedience out of your kids? Do you catch yourself yelling daily, yelling, raising your voice? It's if it happens every once in a blue moon, that might be one thing, but are you making a repair? And number two, is it daily? Are you having those frequent moments where you're constantly threatening or yelling or losing control of yourself? Then that's a sign that you need more care for you. You need to do more heart checks. And do you find yourself feeling exhausted parenting, where you don't find joy in parenting your kids? If you're losing joy in parenting your kids, that's a sign that there's something going on inside of you that you're struggling with. And it may actually have nothing to do with your family life. Maybe you're going through stuff. If you tune in to anything that's happening in the world, you might recognize that you're struggling, and so you don't have, when we have a lot of burdens, we don't have a lot of capacity to be there for our kids with their 5-year-old problems, or their 10-year-old problems, or their 16-year-old problems. So when your child is having a hard time with things, sometimes we lose compassion for what that person's going through. So let's say your child is having a hard time because a friend rejected them and said, I don't want to be your friend. And you're thinking, who cares? Move on, and you don't have the capacity to be kind of sensitive for them, but for a 4-year-old, that's a big deal when a child rejects them. And so we want to be able to have enough capacity to help them manage their emotions, but also teach them how to be resilient and handle those issues. And so I just want to share these tips with you. This is specifically about parental self-care. And if you join me next week, we'll go in deeper on some of these other areas on how to identify what's going on with our child's tantrum, and then what to do about it as well. So one of the things I also love teaching is what I call an emotional traffic signal. It's actually a way that we can recognize and determine, okay, so now I know, like, from this inventory, I know kind of why my kid's having this fit. And I kind of have an idea of what I need to be doing, but how do I know what to say and do in the moment? And so that's where there's two other tools that we love to teach our parents. One of them is the emotional traffic signal, as well as how to set and enforce limits. So if you want to know more of these great tips, be sure to not only be a part of our email list where we share tips there as well. Join us back right here each week, but you're definitely going to want to get into our Facebook community. It's a free, closed, private Facebook group. If you want to join that, let me share the link with you. Actually, let me do that right now. Let's see. All you have to do is put a request in to join the Facebook group. And you do have to share your email, because we don't want people in our group that aren't real people. So, in order to serve at the highest level, that's what we request, is that you at least share some information. All right. So if you want to join the free Facebook community where we have other conversations and discussions, where you want to get support from other parents as well, go to facebook.com/groups/Diana Bigham. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next week.